Analytics are basically a buzzword in the NFL these days. People hear, analytics say you have to do this, or analytics said you have to do that. Well, analytics don't tell you to do anything. To keep it simple, analytics gives you probabilities of what is more or less likely to occur in a given situation. It doesn't always mean you should do what the probabilities say you should do. Let me break it down real quick. Data analysts don't ever look at a situation and think, well, there's a 70% chance of this happening, so I have to go for it here. They look to see why it's 70%. What were the reasons for the 30%? Then assess the situation and say, okay, are we in a situation where we're closer to that 70% or that 30%? Analytics are good, and they've been used forever in some capacity. It's just now there's more data, more ways to gather data, and more ways to produce this said data to evaluate what they're seeing. Let's rewind to last week. Chargers versus Browns. LA is up 30-28 at their own 46-yard line. 4th down and 2. Browns have no timeouts, and there's a little over a minute left in the game. They choose to go for it and fail. Incomplete to Mike Williams on a short strike that will give the Browns perfect field position. People were outraged. You had angry tweets, angry sound bites.
Not tired, but the 4th down going for it. I didn't like that. I 100% agree.
Angry members of the Chargers. And the funny thing is, I don't really disagree. I mean, normally when you factor going for it or punting it there, a huge factor is the QB you're going up against. It makes sense when your QB looks like this, or this, or this, or this, but definitely not this. You're telling me Jacoby Brissett is going to go coast to coast to lead a field goal drive when they have no timeouts. We know he could barely lead one even when they got the ball at the 46-yard line after the Chargers failed to convert. Let's look at this in a little more detail. I'm going to be using the 4th down decision bot on Twitter created by Ben Baldwin from PFF. Just know a lot of code goes into it, and if you want to look at what makes it tick, I'll put a link below. But it takes into account things like down distance, weather, time left in the game, timeouts, score, etc., etc. It displays your win percentage by simply choosing to go for it or punting, your chance of success if you're kicking a field goal or going for it, and then your success percentage if you fail or succeed in said field goal or 4th down conversion. The important thing we want to see here is the win percentage in the left column and the win percentage for success if you go for it. 88 win percentage versus 76 is an insanely big difference than most 4th down decisions that you'll ever see. Let's put it into further perspective. In this play in Ravens-Bills from a couple weeks ago, Baltimore goes for it, 4th and goal. Their win percentage is 65% compared to 63% if they just were to kick it instead. Now let's go back to the Chargers game with the table. You'll notice that if the Chargers succeed in going for it, their win percentage is 100%, a complete surefire way to win the game. And that right there is what this decision boils down to for Staley and his crew. In their mind, anytime you have a chance to completely seal the game, you take that chance. They don't care if failing to convert gives them amazing field position. They want to end their game on their own terms and seal the deal. People like to point to this and say, what a terrible decision. Analytics are ruining the NFL. But it's super easy to say that in hindsight of seeing the play fail. Analytics are usually a victim of bad play calling, because obviously stats can't account for that much. Chargers are averaging 3.9 rushing yards on the season and had 238 rushing yards this game, led by Austin Eckler, who is averaging just a mere 10.8 yards per carry. And what do? That. Little juke by Mike Williams to the outside, not even close to the sticks, and there's an incompletion. I know Brandon Staley gets a lot of heat for his decision-making, but Joe Lombardi's play calling should also be under equal fire. Regardless, the Chargers wanted to seal this game by any means necessary. Getting the 1st down here automatically wins the game. Punting doesn't give you that 100% guarantee. Wouldn't you want to choose a route that gives you undeniable success to win the game? That's why when something doesn't work, people in data analytics aren't that surprised. They know that even the probabilities for converting a 4th down and 2 are high. They know it's not going to work every single time. In fact, the data doesn't say it'll work 100% of the time. So you have to expect failures, and expect quite a few of them. It doesn't mean that the stats didn't work. In fact, it shows that analytics do work, because if teams are going for it on 4th and 2 and converting 100% of the time, we would go back and try to figure out how they got it so wrong, since the data says 100% shouldn't be occurring. Of course, there's value in the opposition as well. Calculators can't win you games. Coaches have more knowledge on personnel matchups and play designs than most data analysts. They spend hours in the film room and see plays more than just X's and O's or numbers on a graph. But they can't do all of this alone, and analytics is the perfect sidekick. That's what every coach should view analytics as, a tool in their arsenal to make their lives a little easier, not as gospel where every word is the truth, or not something to be outright ignored. The best coaches in the NFL know how to look at the numbers, make an informed decision, and execute. Acknowledge and respond.